everybody. This is John Ross with the John Ross Show for this January 13th. We have some snow on the ground, not as much as this picture. This is from, I believe, 1967 Chicago. And I think that's a 63 Chevy on the back there in the right rear corner. Today we're going to talk about some topics that, well, it's coming up, and I'm just bringing up things that I think are very important to our communities. And are these the last 7 days of U.S. liberal democracy? That's going to be our theme today. And I just want to welcome you all to the show, and we're going to have a brief one today, of course, and then we're going to have some guests. I'll talk to you about in a few minutes about coming up guests. We do have some guests coming up, so that's going to be real beautiful. So let's give some definitions here. We have a representative democracy as an indirect democracy where the sovereignty is held by the people's representatives. That's what we do. We elect representatives for our democracy. We do elect representatives. Now, here's the term liberal. It's not in conservative liberal as the way some people use that term today. It's not that way. How we mean by that, I'll show you right now how we'll define liberal democracy. A liberal democracy is a representative democracy with the rule of law, protection of individual liberties and rights, and limitations on the power of elected representatives. I think that latter part's, well, they're both parts of the sentences here: rule of law, protection of individual liberties and rights, and limitations of power of the elected representatives. It's no divine right of kings in our country, but there's some questioning of where we're going on these matters, and that's understandable. So I'm going to touch base on, I put down 6 things here that I think jeopardize our liberal democracy in the upcoming Trump administration. And you can look at me differently on that, but I think these are important things. I think some of my earlier points here are really speak quite a bit. Mass pardons, is that what we want, to have mass pardons of criminals who beat up cops and defecated at the U.S. Capitol and were part of an insurrection? It'll be sad if that goes through, the mass pardons. The other next one I have on my list is mass deportations. Now that would be something else too, just taking people off the street. And there's a new legislation that it would just be petty crimes, or no, they could just be picked up for a crime, maybe speeding or I don't know, it could be shoplifting, but that could, see, all these things could be made up. They just there would be no criminal trial or anything on those matters. You would just face deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen. Instead of going through some channels to work our citizenship problems out, we need comprehensive immigration reform. That's what we need. The other thing would be just, quote, I'm putting down this mass deregulation. That would just be, basically, a lot of laws would just be not enforced or go away. one would be on environmental things. That's probably one thought. Maybe some other areas too. But that seems to be a popular thing with the Trump administration. The other one is mass political harassment. I'm using that word harassment. Maybe arrests, well, try to arrest or take to court just your political opponents. Just take them to court. Doesn't sound good to me. And just stifle them. The other thing would be just give tax breaks and touch down the social network. That's my 5 and 6 points. Just cut down the social network. Medicaid, I don't know if they could try to eliminate or work on VA and Medicare, which I think these things are going to take up a lot of energy by the Trump people, and I think it could be fruitless. I mean, the people will rebel on those. I think they will rebel on all these points in a good way. I don't want anything wrong on that. When we speak up for injustice, that's what we should do, and that's our responsibility. And I think of a man who did that was former President Jimmy Carter. And I just thank you, Lord, for Jimmy Carter and coming our way. And our 39th president. And we had a service for him the other day in Washington. I thought that was real good. And Jimmy was a good man, and he'll be remembered. And I think the biggest thing about Jimmy Carter is that character counts. I remember that phrase, that group, nonprofit has pushed that, but I don't know how much they're pushing it right now. Character counts. Jimmy Carter sure had character. And maybe he lost an election because he sometimes was maybe naive on these things, but he had a lot of character, did a lot for the world, and thank the world for Jimmy Carter. Now, I want to take down Jimmy here. And of course, we have, I don't know how the fires got up yet anyway. And of course, what I'm talking about is Mr. Trump's coming up in the next days. We're getting double hits here. I'm sorry. He's coming up, and that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to bring up a book that sort of brings up some of these points. This book called Strong Man, and that's what we're talking about here, happening here. Some would call it fascism. I don't know, but we can use terms like that, but that's what's happening here. And we just got to watch out. So on Wednesday, I'm going to have a professor come up on Wheaton College. He's going to talk about ethics, which we need. Christian ethics, Dr. Vincent Pagote, and at Wheaton College. She's a professor and they of theology, and also director of their Christian Center for Christian Applied. I guess the word is Christian ethics. We got to apply it. We just don't have to talk about it. We do have to apply the Christian ethics. So he's written this book. This a few years ago he wrote this, but he's going to be talking. We're going to talk about ethics in the current situations of our country and the church. And I'm looking forward to meeting with him. And we're also going to have down the road a gentleman is going to talk about Dr. Swanson's going to. I know it's Dr. Swanson, but it's Pastor David Swanson's going to talk about things related to the environment, racial. It's called plundered The Tangled Roots of Racial and Environmental Injustice. That's a new, it's an university book. It's a new community covenant church in Chicago. So he's going to be with us. That's at the end of the month. I got myself a little early on these things. The other thing is we're going to have Dr. Vince Gaddis. It's going to be he's going to be with us on Monday, and we're going to talk about Dr. King and other concerns, and then how they relate in the church and how they relate to Donald Trump 2.0, which that's the same day. So we got a couple of things. Dr. King, we're going to talk about that and how his work relates to Donald Trump coming on the same day here on the 20th. And so those are a couple things out there, but there's one big thing that's happening, and we're going to just leave with this. The fires out in Los Angeles, and I want to bring that up, the fires in LA. And if you can help out the people out in LA. And rich, poor, these are devastating fires. They're not going to go away soon here, it looks like. So I encourage you to give to the Salvation Army here, and they have it right on their national website about giving for LA. So, and they're doing a lot of things in LA. I was looking at some videos. They're got their canteens. They got helping out in mass shelters, bringing in food. They're doing a lot of different things, and they'll be there for long haul. They're a good group, the Salvation Army. So that's what's coming up. So we'll be back on Wednesday with Dr. Vincent Bacate of Wheaton College. So that should be a good interview. So for right now, I'm just going to say bye-bye now, and we'll see you soon again. So bye-bye, everybody. God bless, and we'll see you soon again. Bye-bye.